Okay, good day and welcome back to another episode of the Air Force podcast. Today we've got Aron with us, a personal trainer and an inspiring individual. Thanks a lot for being here.
Always a pleasure.
And while you're a personal trainer and obviously you're working in the fitness industry, what inspired you to become a fitness trainer and a personal trainer and to achieve health and fitness goals?
Unlike a lot of people who might probably answer and say because they went on a weight loss journey or because they saw people that needed help, for me it's a bit different. For me, ever since I found God in my life, I feel and I believe that each person individually was born or brought into this world to solve a unique problem. So we are each one of us a solution to a unique problem that exists. And for me, I sat down and I thought, okay, what problem am I here to resolve? Or what problem am I here to be a solution to? And the only thing I looked at that just resonated with me was fitness. And I remember I first tried architecture. I went to go write the entrance exam and it didn't, and I ended up not even getting to the exam. I found myself in the sports department. And little did I know that I'd be an architecture of human bodies instead of drawing buildings. So for me, yeah, it's the fact that you can wake me up at 2 a.m. in the morning and say, let's go train. And I'll get dressed and say, let's do it. So for me, that's where I realized that this is my calling, that it's one thing I can do without even thinking about it.
Yes, that's what I want to ask you. Do you truly believe that being a fitness instructor is your calling? That is what you're here to do, and that is what you are doing, and obviously you are doing a good job with it.
Sorry, I didn't get the last part.
Okay, so you truly believe that this is your calling, and that this is what you are supposed to do here on earth.
100%. No, for me, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I've been doing this now for roughly about 14 years. And yes, there are those days where waking up is a bit of a hassle and you're like, the alarm went off too early. But I wake up and once I'm up, I cannot wait to get into it.
And what do you do on that mornings where you said the alarm goes off too early, the bed is nice and warm? What do you do on that mornings? How do you get up? How do you stop that procrastination?
So, as I mentioned in the beginning about the whole God factor in my life, ever since God and I sat down and had a conversation and I agreed with him and he agreed with me and we went on a journey since then, every morning I wake up and I read a scripture. And after reading that scripture, I will do a summary of what I've read and what I got out of it. And then I send it out to all my WhatsApp contacts. And for me, that's one thing that ensures that I wake up every morning. Because I remember the one day I did exactly that. I read a scripture, sent it out. And then the following day, I couldn't wake up. I was so tired. And I just said, you know what, today I'm not going to wake up. I'm going to sleep at least 2 more hours. And I had this thing that just said, no, wake up, wake up. So I woke up, did the thing against my better judgment, and sent it out. Not even half an hour later, a guy called me who had never ever responded to any of my messages that I send out Monday to Friday. And he said to me, you know, this morning I had a thought about killing myself because I've been suffering from depression. And the message you sent out at that time was the reason why I didn't do it. So every morning, if I feel like not waking up, I think to myself, there could be somebody out there who needs what I have. So I've got to wake up.
Yes, and that is inspiring. That is motivating. I I think when you got that message or when you received that call, that must have been something that uh, to know that you've changed a person's life, that you're actually the reason that they continue living, that they do not want to kill themselves.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's incredible. And yeah, so
Uh,
that's what wakes me up every morning.
and and what lessons have you learned then? So you've obviously now seen that, and you're obviously working with people that uh, have issues, maybe have troubles. What lessons have you learned by being a personal trainer and in this journey of yours?
Sure. It's interesting. My day my day is both made and broken by a couple of things. So like for example is when I wake up in the morning, I'm excited, ready with a program to help somebody, whether it's weight loss, whether it's muscle building, toning. And then you prepare all of this, and then the person doesn't show up for whatever reason. I mean, some people lack motivation, others require you to be their motivation. So, yeah, it can be dampening and it can kind of break your momentum. But you've got to just remind yourself that, what may be number one in your list may not necessarily be number one in that other person's list. But I try and make your number one my number one as my client for that hour.
Okay. And then what type of approach do you take? Do you have your own personal approach when doing things and when working with the people? Or how do you identify this is what you have to do, this is what you're going to do today? What is your approach?
So my approach is very simple. So let's say, for example, you were about to become my client. So you contacted me for whatever reason. Maybe you saw the videos on my Instagram, or maybe you even walked past and I was training somebody, or even were told by a friend. So the first thing I do is I do an assessment session. So the assessment session would probably last anything between 15 to 20 minutes, maybe even half an hour, depending on your needs. So in that assessment session, what I do is I've got about 6 exercises. So namely squats, lunges. So squats, lunges. It would be your a run on the treadmill, maybe a run around the block if there's no treadmill available, wherever it would be. Then it's balance, so which is then balance and core, which would be your planks, then your push-ups. So those give me an idea of your strength, of your endurance level, your balance, and then also it gives me an idea of your, in terms of technique-wise. Do you know how to do a lunge? Do you know how to do a squat? And then also from there on in the assessment, then I'm going to ask questions like, for example, are there any illnesses, underlying illnesses that may be aggravated by us training? For example, an existing knee injury if we squat too much, a back problem if you do too many deadlifts, or if I overload your weight. So those things then give me a guideline as to where to from here. Some people have asthma. So now I know in terms of cardio, I can't make them run too much. So everything has got to be gradual. Yeah, and then also how severe the asthma is, how severe the injuries are, or pre-existing operations, and yeah.
Okay, and then you said then you adjust, especially for that client, you adjust the program, you adjust the techniques. How do you do that?
So for example, let's say the person had severe asthma. So if they do too much running, they have difficulty in breathing, then all I do is I take the treadmill, put it on an incline, let's say, for example, an incline of 10, so it's like at its highest. So almost like pretending you're going up a hill. Then I'll put it at a fast walking pace. Then we're walking up, and in that way, I can literally almost burn, sometimes even more, as much as running on the treadmill. And I even half the distance. So that helps a lot. And then there I get the burn of the legs, the burn of the calves. I get the burn on your whole body, basically.
How does the incline differ from being on a flat surface? So obviously you use a lot more muscles, but why does it differ?
So where the major difference is that the emphasis is more on the glutes, so the bum area, the glutes and the calves. Because now you find that you're going to be spending more time on your toes than flat-footed.
Okay.
And then you also have that lean, so which means your lower back is also taking a strain as well. Then I can even add a band as well. So I can put a band around you to intensify that hill climb even more. So all of that puts more strain in the quads. So you're almost like individualizing the muscles as you're going. And that helps a lot. And there, the nice thing is that no matter how fit you are, we still can get to the distance we want to get to.
Okay. And would you say like a person with asthma then that cannot do that high intensity work, do you think that with training, with a proper program, with the proper nutrition, that they will get there eventually? Or what has been your examination of that?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I always say to people, exercise is like when you're watching a child grow up. A child starts off not being able to sit, literally only being able to lay on their backs, sometimes more comfortable on their stomachs or on their sides. And then over time, gradually, they start being able to sit by being supported by the parent. Then from the parent support, they remove the hand and then they put like a pillow around the child to support them. From the pillow, you remove the pillow, then the person is able to sit now. Then from that stage, the child starts realizing, wait a minute, there's a possibility of movement. When the crawling factor comes in, then you keep laying them on the stomach, then they realize they can move their knees, move their arms. From there on, then they walk holding on. Then from there on, they take a walk as you do. So I'm a strong believer in that there's nothing irreversible when it comes to the human body. There's nothing that can't be progressed. Because, I mean, the human body is amazing. I always think about this, that we've lived for plus minus 2,000 years. And today, we're still learning about the body. Over 2,000 plus years, and we're still learning about the human body. So nothing is irreversible. Even with exercise, all we are literally doing is forcing your body to accelerate its growth. The body does everything by itself. We're just forcing it to accelerate the growth, to accelerate the healing if you're exercising for the sake of recovering a knee, an injury. So yeah, the body is amazing. It's incredible.
And now that you're talking about recovery and your body being able to do certain stuff, and do you also help people with recovering, with helping them through injuries and maybe some rehab exercises? Do you do that as well?
100%. So within the personal training business, I realized one thing, that the I guess the downside of training is that nobody can ever tell you how far your muscles are from getting injured. That you only feel when you start feeling certain pains that you shouldn't be feeling. Then you know, wait, alarm bells, I'm going to be getting injured. I need to make a plan. So the problem comes in where there's no signs and the muscle just tears, for example. Or the muscle, they pull a muscle, then now they can't train. Then now you've got to then remove them off your program, send them to a biokineticist or send them to a physiotherapist or a chiropractor, depending on the severity of the injury. And when you do that, you now start going backwards when it comes to training because you can't move forward. And when you're not using a muscle regresses. So it becomes weaker. It loses its endurance. It loses its stamina. So what happens then is whatever program, whatever plans you guys had, you've got to now reset them and restructure them. So what I thought is, what is a better way for me to avoid that whole process of having to stop and start? And I went then and I studied sports massage. So when we did sports massage, we then obviously went into greater depths with muscles. So the connection, how the muscle moves, how to help the muscle recover, what causes injuries and how to come back from them, and how to prevent certain injuries. And yeah, when I did that, it was awesome because now my clients will take sessions, like a month's worth of sessions, and then also take one massage session for the month. And in that, while I'm massaging them, I can get to feel that, for example, the one side of the back is more developed than the other. Now I know we use less barbells, we use more dumbbells, so that I can equalize whichever side. So both sides are working equally. So yes, I do that a lot. And I've got a couple of clients that have gone for back operations, spinal ops, knee replacements, hip replacements. And a lot of them, it's due to the lifestyle, the type of work they do. Some it's manual labor, others they work within the safety industry. So yes, definitely, I work with a lot with recovery and rehabilitations.
Okay. And then let's go more to the recovery part. And recovery is a very crucial part of the fitness industry, of being fit, of being healthy. And um, how do you get like the line between, you say you're recovering, or being, I would say, demotivated or being lazy? But how do you think you get the line between them? Because
That's a very tricky one, actually.
yeah,
It's
because
actually
when
one
you
thing. Yeah.
yeah, but because most times when you do not want to go train, then you say, okay, no, I'm taking a day off for recovery. But then it's actually
Yeah.
mental, it's not physical.
Yes.
So
So
how do you,
true.
where is that line? How do you get there?
You know, here's the interesting thing is that you may find if I take 2 days off from training, when I come back, I feel like I can carry the whole world on my shoulders. I can carry any weight, I can do any exercise. But then I take you and I say to you, know, take 2 days off. You come back and everything feels twice as heavy, and your body is heavy, your legs are heavy, your heart is pumping, your lungs are dying. So with each person, you've almost got to learn their recovery, how long it takes, how long they should take. And it becomes a trial and error. So for me, I generally would say to people, if we're starting off, let's start off with at most 3 times a week in terms of training. So that would be a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. Then at least within the week, you get a day off to give you that recovery. Then on the weekend, you're getting Saturday and Sunday off. And then from there, I look at, okay, so how were we when, for example, we did 25 squats last week, Monday, compared to this week, Monday. How long did it take you? Did you struggle? Did you have any aches, any pains? And if you did, is it because we did legs previously? So I look at it over 3 weeks. And then I'll be taking notes. That's why I also do videos as well. So the videos, I use them for both social media and for my own studying as well. So, because when I'm sitting at home, I'll be like, you know what, let me see how John is doing, and I'll go to the videos. And then that's when you realize, wait a minute, his squat actually is missing this. That's why he was having pains here. So the recovery part is that I've got people that I give 2 days recovery off. I've got the one client that trains Monday all the way to Saturday. And then Sunday they recover, Monday they're back and they're on fire. So yes, you may say it is going to hinder their growth because they're training a lot more than they're recovering. But if they are enjoying it and there's no injuries and nothing is breaking, then I always say, why fix what's not broken?
Okay. And then would you recommend it to train like 6 times a week or maybe 7 times a week? Would you recommend it? And where do you think you must stop a bit and take a rest day?
You know what? If you're doing it for health, I would not recommend 6 times a week or even 7 times a week. Yeah, if you're doing it for health. Then if you are like an elite athlete, it becomes in a different story. I mean, some of these guys can train 3 times a day, others 2 times a day, 5 times a week. So then the question then I guess is, when is too much too much? Then if you're getting your biokineticists, I mean, you're seeing them at least once a week. You've got your sports massage once a week. You've got your chiropractor realigning your spine, your hips, your alignment. If all of those things are being done, you can then have the liberty to do the 6 times a week, twice a day, because it's your job. It's what brings bread onto the table. But if you're doing it for health, for me, I'd say, you know what, 3 times a week, at most 4 times a week.
Okay.
And even that 3 times a week, maybe even half-an-hour sessions each day, provided you're not talking and chatting on your phone.
Okay. And okay, now that you're saying that you're not talking on your phone and not chatting and not scrolling through Instagram while training, how do you keep your clients motivated? Because obviously they're going to sit. I don't know, because usually when people go to the gym, between sets they will say, okay, now scrolling through the phone or do chat, or sometimes they just don't show up. So how do you approach that?
So for me, I think my biggest advantage is when I worked for a company, Virgin Active. They took us for a managerial course. It's called Neurolinguistics. So one thing I picked up from that course is they taught us there are 6 different types of people. I only remember about 5, but they say you get the IC kind of person. So the IC kind of person, you pick that up whenever you're talking to them. They say, no, I see what you're saying, but I don't think you see what I mean. They keep repeating that phrase, I see, I see. So that's the kind of person that whenever you're talking to them or you're engaging with them, you must paint a picture for them. So for example, if you're telling them about a house or about an exercise, you must physically be doing it and showing them. And then for them, they'll be captivated, then they'll be interested in the conversation and in whatever you're doing with them. So for them, I'll be doing a lot of demonstration physically, and that keeps them in. Then you get the I hear kind of person, where they keep repeating, I hear you, but I don't think you hear what I'm saying, or do you hear this? Now I know with them, I must be constantly vocal with them. Every time I must talk, I must constantly tell them, yeah, do it this way. Yes, you're doing it right. Yes. So words of affirmation. I keep affirming whatever they are doing. Then you get the, I feel, you know, I feel like we're not doing it right. Or I feel like, then that's the kind of an emotional person. So I've got to use words that incite emotion. Like, you know what, I love what you are doing. You are so passionate. And for them, they feel like, you know what, we are doing this. So yeah, then, I mean, and so on as it goes. So up to about 6 different types of people. So I use that to try and motivate the continuity part of it. And then obviously also giving appropriate time for resting. Sometimes I'll use active recovery for the fitter people, where if we're doing push-ups, when they are supposed to be resting, I'll make them do runs on the treadmill, a jog. So you're still making them work, but outside of the muscle you're working at the time.
Okay. And then with that, the sport massages that you do,
Yes.
how do you approach that? Do you maybe do the whole body or only certain parts of the body that is maybe sore, stiff, or how do you do that?
So ideally, I would like to do the whole body. But sometimes you find that when the time comes for the person to do the sports massage, maybe for the past week, they've been complaining about a sore lower back. Then I know, okay, the lower back he or she has been complaining about for the past 2 weeks. So clearly that's where our problem area is. Then I know I'm going to be focusing on the glutes, on the hamstrings, and the lower back. Then if the person has not really been saying anything, then I'm just doing the body in general. So loosening up the muscles, removing the tension, helping them stretch. Some people, we don't even get to the massage part, we just stretch. We stretch, chat through everything, and sometimes we even end up talking about, well, how did you find this week's exercise? What do you think of the program? How are you feeling about it? And because at the end of the day, I may be a professional in my industry, but you are a professional at your own body. You know your body better than I do. So you may say to me, Aaron, I love the fact that we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, but can we at least add kettlebell swings? And I see when I add that, all of a sudden now you're pushing more. Yeah. So that's how I combat it. I try and involve you in the whole process.
Okay. And then a lot of people nowadays is sitting a lot more. They're working is a lot more sedentary, and they're sitting and working and they're slouched and weak posture, and they sitting on the couch the whole day, and they do not go out and train. They do not go out to do anything. Do you have any advice for people that is in that kind of lifestyle that wants to go in and maybe be a bit more active, maybe start joining a gym, get a personal trainer, maybe go for a run? What kind of advice do you have for people like that?
For me, it's very simple. And you're right, sitting has become a culture now. I mean, we look at social media, you're doing it sitting. You go to the shop, you're driving. Whether the shop is 100 meters away, 200 meters away, the idea of walking there is like, you become lazy just thinking about it.
Oh,
So for me, it's very simple. You find something that you can be, or find a sport or something that you can be part of that community. An example is, there are people that are walking every morning. There are people that are cycling every morning. There are people that are running every morning. There's new sports like the paddles, where it's a cross between tennis and squash. There are squash courts within the gyms now. There's tennis, there's action soccer, there's five-a-side soccer, the indoor soccer. So find those type of things. And before you look for gyms, so find something that excites you. May it be rugby, touch rugby, may it be whatever it is that's going to keep you active. And you see, the more involved you get in that, is the more you start realizing your weaknesses. For example, if I start doing action soccer, I start playing and I realize, after the first 5 minutes, I'm gassed. Then now I've picked up that, I need to do more cardio. So now, do I then go join a running group? Do I join a gym? Do I start walking more? Now that's where your options then start opening up. But yeah, play that sport and pick up the things. And you find within that sport as well, you meet me, for example, is a personal trainer. I say, what? I'm actually a personal trainer. Let's train. I train at this time. Or even if I'm just somebody who trains, I gym at this gym. And you find that, the gym is close by. Let's go train together. And yeah, so find something that you're going to be a part of a community of, and that's going to get you started. Because just joining a gym with no purpose, I wouldn't advise. I liked what one guy said, the late Dr. Miles Monroe. He says, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So if you don't know why something is made for, you'll abuse it, unknowingly at times.
yeah, that is actually kind of true. That and with that, you say there's a community, or you need to get a community and people with you, and people that's going to inspire you and motivate you. How important do you think that is to have a good community and a good circle and good people in your life, and not only in fitness but in your life overall?
I mean, that is vital, eh? It is very vital. Especially with now where you find kids raised by single parents. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I was raised by a single parent, my mother. Although my father is still alive, but my mother raised me until my second year of varsity. So what happens then is, because you are missing that fatherhood in your growing up, your upbringing, and you watch your other friends that have got both parents, and you see how you start looking for what you are lacking outside. And that's where people start joining gangs and all those things, because you want appreciation, you want respect, you want to be known, you want to be loved, you want to be protected. So it's very important. You look at it in the gym industry. Virgin Active, I remember, did a research, and they found that when they compare members that just come into gym and members that come in to do gym classes. The ones that stay the longest as members or as clients are the ones that go to group exercise classes because there's accountability. If I'm gymming alone on the days like where, for example, you touched on earlier on in our conversation, is how do you motivate yourself to get up and go train on the days where you don't feel like it? Now, if I'm training alone, those days become very difficult. Most likely I won't go because it's too cold, you make excuses. But if I've got you that I train with, I start thinking, yo, I'm going to disappoint him. Or I think, what if he's already there? What if he's on his way? So the idea of canceling becomes like this thing that's going to be like, it's going to be such a burden on you, not on me anymore. And I find that now I'm going to gym now.
Okay. Yeah, and that's definitely that accountability, and that someone that is going to hold you accountable, and someone that you are going to, like, as you say, disappoint. That is actually in most aspects of our lives. When we have somebody or people around you that say to you, okay, no, that's not going to work. You have to wake up. You have to go train. You have to go study. You have to go to work. You have to do that, and they help you on that
So
journey.
true.
That is very important in in everybody's life. And you play actually a crucial role in a lot of people's lives like that. So you are actually the one that holds them accountable for coming to train, um,
Yes.
for going to the gym, for living a healthier lifestyle, a better lifestyle. How do you feel when the people doesn't show up, or when they cancel, when they do not want to come? How does that affect you?
When the first few times it happened, when I had started in this personal training industry or the health and fitness industry, it's disappointing. It definitely is. And you get angry. I won't lie. You definitely get angry. You're like, what? Do they know I could have slept an hour earlier, an hour later, or I could have done this because you move a lot of things around in order to avail yourself for someone. Of course, yes, they've paid for the session, and you're supposed to ensure that you're able to accommodate them. But you start thinking about all those things, like, I could have done this, could have done that, could have done this. But I realized that all of that is a waste of time. The most important thing is finding out why the person couldn't make it. Hopefully they tell you the truth and they don't make anything up. But and then trying to figure out, how do I mitigate this from happening again? How do I stop it? How do I ensure that he or she doesn't do it again? For the sake of the goal, of course. At the end of the day, if they cancel on the day, depending on the type of agreement you guys have, they forfeit the session. But the most important thing is to keep the person going so that they get to their goals. So here's, I think for me, one statement that helped me a lot is I read a quote that said, an army of lions led by a sheep will always be defeated by an army of sheep led by a lion. Simply meaning that the leader, which would be me in this industry, and in this case, is the one that determines and sets the pace. So if you, as the person who's the personal trainer, are dedicated in your work, dedicated in what you do, you are motivated, you are disciplined, and you are inspiring by the way you do things, then the person feels like they're letting you down more than they're letting down themselves. And it becomes harder to cancel the sessions. It becomes harder to make excuses because they think, he's already there. One thing I also started doing at one point was I would buy fruits. So I know, for example, I've got 8 clients for the day. So I buy 8 different fruits, and when you arrive, I give you the fruit and I give you a bottle of water. And then as we're talking, I start figuring out, okay, actually you like a banana. Next session, I bring you a banana. So now what happens is, whenever you arrive, I'm waiting there with the water and the banana. So when you're at home thinking about canceling a session, you think, Aaron is probably waiting there with the banana, is waiting there with the fruit. So it becomes more than just about training.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And then you being their personal trainer and their leader, as you said, you obviously help them with their goals. And somebody wants to lose maybe 10 kilograms, or somebody wants to put up 10 kilograms, or anything like that. How do you feel when people achieve their goals? What does that mean to you when other people like drop that 10 kilograms that they want to? How do you feel?
So you're speaking in the sense of food-wise, like if we've
Uh,
got a plan set and
no. I want to know when they achieve their goals,
when they achieve the
build.
goals, I see, yes.
Yeah, how do you feel then?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I've achieved. I think at times I get more excited than them, especially when people start complimenting and I'm like excited. And I think above and beyond that, the most I've seen the weight losses. I mean, I've helped a client lose 27 kgs. I've seen all of those amazing things. But for me, the most amazing one out of all of them is when you watch somebody who couldn't walk start to walk again. And it's almost like watching a baby take their first step, and you're the parent. And you literally, I start jumping up and down. Yes, do it, do it. And then let's look back and think, but I'm the one that's walking. I'm the one that should be this excited. So for me, that's what gives me the rehabilitations. They bring joy to my heart when I see that. And people that, for example, the person says, I couldn't sit in this position for this long, and now they're sitting in it. For me, it's exciting. It literally makes waking up every morning, as much as I don't want to every morning, it makes it as exciting as it should be.
Yes, and that's great. I mean, I think that is the best fulfillment you can get, the best type of stimulation that somebody can get is from that, from seeing somebody that couldn't walk walking again, and from seeing somebody's life improve a lot. And that's actually, and that is what you're doing. You are helping a lot of people by doing that. Um, and on that note as well, you also have your own clothing range and your own apparel. How
Yes.
how did you decide? Okay, that is what I'm going to do. That is what I want to do.
So where the clothing brand comes from is one thing that I realized long
The
before I
clothing brand
started
is
the personal.
Dustfit.
Yes, it's
It is
Dustfit. Yeah.
Dust. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I realized a long time ago, before I entered the personal training industry, that you've only got a certain time frame to be at your best in this industry because no longer do the moves you used to do. If you could do handstand push-ups over time, you can't anymore. If you could do the splits, you're no longer as flexible. So if you could pick up 100 kgs, now you're picking up 60, then over time you pick up 20. So all of those little things. And I thought to myself, how do I create longevity in what I do? And how do I put value? How do I make the name remembered? How do I make my personal training world known? And for me, clothing is the best advertisement because somebody may decide to wear your t-shirt or your jacket or your training tights 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Someone may even wear your training jacket to the mall.
Mm.
And people are going to look, that's fit, that's fit, that's fit. And it creates that talk. And it helps you to last longer. And also, when I do open my own establishment and the name is out there, it's going to be a well established and well known name because people are going to be familiar with it from the clothing and from everything else.
Okay. And then you're available on social media and on Instagram. And where can people find you? How can they reach out to you? Where can they get to you?
So I'm on Instagram. Instagram, it's Dust19190. I'm on Facebook, Aron Dust, and then my surname, Mgobhozi. I'm also on Twitter, Dustfit_1. Um, I'm also on, sorry, there was TikTok, Dustfit_1. I used to be on Twitter and I was not very active there, so I ended up canceling that account. But yeah, I'm there and constantly posting, constantly out there. And the majority of the time, I'm posting my clients because I feel and I believe it's about them. I mean, it's impressive when you as a trainer can do incredible things. But I believe it's even more impressive when you can get your clients to do what you can do.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And on that note, I want to say thanks a lot for today, and thanks a lot for all the work you're doing and um, inspiring and motivating people and helping them to live healthier lifestyles and being healthier and being more fit. So on that note, I want to say thank you and thank you for your time today and thank you for speaking to us today. And then to all the listeners, then go listen to this, like, subscribe, and go follow Aaron on his social media, and maybe check out the workouts he's doing and also the clothing that he has. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Aaron.
No, thank you so much. And also thank you for your time. Thank you for selecting me. I mean, you could have selected hundreds of others, but you chose me. But thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the fact that you appreciate what we do and the industry that we are in as well.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.